If they want to see the pre-listed property from an EXP agent, they're going to have to go to realtor.com or homes.com. What is this doing for consumer choice? It's making it incredibly confusing and difficult, and they're going to have to go all over the place to get any kind of information. This is not good for buyers. Hi there, and welcome to Real Life in Real Estate. I'm Mark Peebles, here to help you live your best life and achieve ultimate success. And I'm so grateful that you're with me today. We've got a big topic that we need to cover because there is a lot going in the industry right now. There's all kinds of news hitting, and honestly, there's so many articles and headlines that we could talk about. But today, I want to talk about pre-listings, private listings, or listing preview, or coming soon listings. I think we're going to have this conversation, and I want to give you my thoughts, but I also want to know your thoughts as well. So here we go. Let's review the news. A couple of years ago, the National Association of Realtors came out with a policy on clear cooperation. Basically, in a nutshell, that policy meant that you could not market a listing unless it was publicly marketed to all of the buying public. It had to be made available to everyone. So if we were going to market a listing, even put a sign in the yard, we actually had to have it listed on the MLS and publicly available. So there was no more coming soon. There was no more like private listings, all that kind of stuff. Now, there was a bunch of lawsuits around this, and actually just this year, it fell. Like the National Association of Realtors said, okay, we are going away from our private listing or our clear cooperation policy, probably avoiding a lot of additional litigation that the National Association really just can't do right now. I mean, there's always litigation. That's a whole other topic. I think we've talked a lot about litigation on here in the past. So, fast forward, and the whole Compass Anywhere deal is going together. Everything's becoming Compass or falling under that one roof, which encompasses some of the largest brokerages in the United States, basically forming the largest grouping of brokerages under one heading, okay? So you've got like Coldwell Banker in there and Better Homes and Gardens, ERA, a bunch of them that fall under Century 21. They all fall under Compass. And of course, Compass is part of that as well. And one of the big things was they're going to have exclusive private listings only available through our network. Well, there was like a hubbub back and forth between Zillow and Compass. There were some lawsuits flying. And so Compass is like, fine, you don't want to work with us. You don't want to post our listings that have been, privately listed in advance and didn't hit the MLS right away. Okay, we'll take our ball and we'll go elsewhere. And so they went to Redfin and cut a deal that all of their private exclusive pre-listed properties would go on to Redfin. Great deal, right? Now the largest set of brokerages in the country now has a portal that, man, that's going to drive all kinds of public demand going to that portal. So Zillow, they're saying, well, if you're going to pre-list something, it's not going on our portal unless someone else wants to make a deal. So this week it's announced Zillow makes a deal for Zillow Preview with Keller Williams, with Home Services of America, with RE/MAX, United Realty. There are some others that are included in there. And so Zillow, who was totally against this, has now gone out and made their own private deal. And then the day after the Zillow deal comes out, guess what? EXP is now making their deal where they're going to be pre-marketing or doing pre-marketing syndication with homes.com, realtor.com, and comehome.com, whatever that is. All right, so so much headache, so much craziness around all of this. And the question is, do do I really agree with this? Do you really agree with any of this? Well, I can tell you one person that doesn't agree with it, and that is the governor, really call it the government of the state of Washington, as they passed legislation this week that would ban private listings in the state, basically stating that if it's going to be available anywhere, it has to be made public. Excuse me. So, with that said, it's Bob Ferguson signed the toughest yet restriction on private listings in the state as several others eye the move. Now, are other states going to follow suit? I hope so. I honestly do. Because I think that's the way that we beat these portals at their own game. So here's the real question. Now, if you're with Keller, if you're with Home Services, you're with RE/MAX, you think this Zillow deal is the greatest deal in the world, which even small brokerages like mine are going to have access to Zillow Preview. So, it is a deal that other brokerages can go and make. It's just those are the big ones involved. Compass, they think their deal with Rocket Redfin is the best deal ever. EXP, they're making great deals. They didn't just get one portal, they got 3 portals that they can market on. So their deal is the best ever. And what's the point of all of these deals? It's just recruiting strategy. They're trying to use this to draw agents to them, to make agents feel like, well, if I'm not with Compass, that was the original thing, I'm not going to have access to all these listings from the largest brokerage group in the country, and my clients are going to suffer. Keller, well, we're with the largest portal, so we're the best company to be at because you get access to pre-listing your listings that are coming soon on the largest portal in the United States. You absolutely need to be with Keller Williams. EXP, well, not only do you get you don't get the largest portal, but you get the second and third largest portal, and then one that no one's ever been on ever before, in comehome.com, whatever that is. And you're going to have all this benefit because you're on these portals. You should be with EXP. I'm a poet and didn't know it. I literally didn't intend that. Okay. Let's talk about this, though, because I feel like this is all about recruiting strategy and has nothing, and let me be clear, nothing to do with helping our clients. Think about private listings, okay? If a buyer wants to find that private listing from Compass, their only way to find it is going to be to go to Redfin, right? So they don't have access to the full market unless they think, oh, I better go check Redfin and see what the pre-listings are on there. If they want to see a Keller Williams pre-listed property or coming soon property, they're going to have to go onto the, Zillow portal to see that listing. If they want to see the pre-listed property from an EXP agent, they're going to have to go to realtor.com or homes.com. What is this doing for consumer choice? It's making it incredibly confusing and difficult, and they're going to have to go all over the place to get any kind of information. This is not good for buyers. However, I can tell you the brokerages are trying to position it so that they can draw more agents into their brokerage when at the end of the day, it does nothing. I said this earlier, say it again, nothing good for the client. Buyers, not good for the buyers. It doesn't give them options. They don't see everything. It's very limited in what they can see. Now, that's the buyer side. Let me tell you about the seller side, because this is where it really gets interesting to me. For many years, I've been a high lister in my business. So I've always had a lot of listings out there. And when I'm listing a property, for years, I haven't liked Zillow. I don't like Zillow, right? I don't give a rip. In fact, if I'm going to pick any of these portals, it's probably homes.com. That's usually my favorite. That's the one that when I want to find something, I'll go on there. I love their new AI tool, by the way, and they don't pay for me to promote that, but it is a pretty cool tool. But, when I go and talk to a seller, I used to compete against agents that their brokerage would not syndicate to Zillow. Okay, so why wouldn't you syndicate to Zillow? Well, you don't want to syndicate to Zillow because Zillow then takes your data, your listing data, and they sell it to other agents. That's their business model. I don't like it, but it's the reality of their business model. The thing is, they're the number one portal out there. And so if I told my client, hey, listen, we don't syndicate to Zillow, I am missing the largest search portal where the most people go to search. It's the highest percentage of people that are going on and searching an app. They're going to Zillow. So if I chose not to syndicate there and I have a fiduciary duty to my seller and I eliminate that, I did a total disservice to my seller. And in my opinion, I'm not fulfilling my fiduciary duty to them to make sure that I get the most eyes, that I can get them the most money in the shortest amount of time. But yet I'm not going to put it in the place where a large number of eyes are going to potentially land on that listing. To me, that always felt crazy. And so I refused to eliminate my listings from Zillow. I said, no, we will post to Zillow. In fact, we, for many years, have optimized our listings on Zillow. We go in and put in special Zillow extended descriptions, et cetera, et cetera. So with that being said, to make the point, like, I do believe that that was in the best interest of the clients. So you're telling me now that I'm going to list with you a Compass agent and I'm a seller. And you're going to tell me, hey, listen, we're going to put out a preview. It's going to be secret. Only other Compass family of agents are going to see this listing, or a consumer that specifically thinks, I should go on Rocket Redfin to look for pre-listed properties. Those are the only people that are going to see it. Not going on Zillow, the largest, and then combine Realtor and Homes.com, and you pretty much have, what you get traffic-wise to Zillow, not going to be available on those. And so your client's listing is going to a very limited number of agents. Now, who does that benefit? Well, it benefits Compass agents' clients because they're going to see those properties, but no one else is. Who does it? Their buyer clients. Let me be clear about that. It benefits their buyer clients. Does the seller benefit? Heck no. In fact, it's a total disservice to the seller because they have missed a huge portion of eyes in the market seeing that preview listing, seeing that coming soon listing. A massive number of consumers are not seeing it. So let's say we privately list it and it's a house at $400,000, right? It goes privately listed and it sells for $400,000. What happens when 3 weeks later, after that one closes, the neighbor up the street with the exact same house sells for $50,000 more? And the reality is, because I don't limit where I list properties, I put them everywhere. But that Compass agent had the secret listing that only their people were going to see. And I could say this about that Keller Williams or that whatever agent. They're only going to see them in our private listing group on Zillow, right? That is a total disservice to the seller consumer. So who wins in all of this? The individual brokerages think they're going to win. But man, wait till that litigation starts. I really do believe we're going to see a lot of litigation over this pre-listing stuff. And the fact that, I as a Compass agent or a Keller agent or an EXP agent, I'm going to be out selling that, hey, I can do this exclusive pre-listing thing. And then it sells in that pre-listing period. And now all of a sudden we find that the consumer was screwed. Let's be honest. They're getting screwed. Buyers and seller consumers. So then I look at this, state of Washington and what they're doing. I got to say, I like it. I think it's good that we put laws in place that protect consumers. And that's what they're doing. They are saying that it should be made available to all of the public because that protects consumers. In fact, I kind of think when you only show a small portion of consumers something, it almost feels like an antitrust thing. I don't know. That's a big term that floats around in our industry. But when I look at this and what the state of Washington is doing, I hope other states follow suit. In fact, I think other states should follow suit because it protects the consumer. Listen, Zillow, Keller Williams, EXP, Compass. Now, listen, I know I'm angry talking a little bit here, right? I'm very passionate about all of this stuff. And so it might sound like I'm mad at these companies. I'm not. These are mostly publicly traded companies. I think they're setting up Keller to become publicly traded. They're great companies. RE/MAX, great company. In this industry, I work with everyone, and I have so much respect for the leadership in all of these companies. So please don't think that I'm hating on any of them. I just think that what we're seeing as a trend in the industry is totally anti-client, and therefore I'm against seeing this trend in the industry. My job is to protect my clients. My job is to offer the most that I possibly can to my clients. And if that becomes limited because of these private backroom deals and these secret listings that companies are putting up, it's not fair to the consumer. And so going back to Washington, I think what they're doing is actually a good thing. It's a fair thing. It's something that is protecting the consumers, giving consumers choice, and also ensuring for that seller consumer that their listing is being seen by the bulk of the market, that everyone has access to their listing. I think there was like a couple of exceptions in there, like if it could affect the seller's health or whatever, they'll allow the private listing still. But otherwise, that's such a rare occurrence. So all of that to say, I want to know your thoughts. So put your comments in here because, and if you're with Compass or Keller or EXP or RE/MAX, tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me how the consumer benefits from all of these private deals with different portals and secret listings that is not available to all of the public, or change my mind on this. I want to know what you think. Put your comments below. And also, I want to remind you, in all of this, there's agents worried about all kinds of stuff. For goodness sakes, there's a war that is going on right now, and people are freaking out, and interest rates are starting to go back up. And this is when agents start to run and say, well, I'm just going to put my license away. I'm not going to do this anymore. Really, now is the time to focus on managing your time, managing your relationships, and ultimately growing yourself, personal, professional development, becoming better at your craft, and growing and expanding. There's going to be business to be had out there. Go out and grab it. So we have the 100 Days to 100K online course that I encourage you to go and check out at itsmarkpeebles.com. Itsmarkpeebles.com is where you can get information about that. But I'm going to teach you really simple systems on how to manage your time, how to manage your relationships, and how to make 2026 your best year ever. Hey guys, all kinds of craziness always going on in the market, in the news. Just stay focused on what matters most, and that is the people that you serve. So I serve you. I'm so glad to be here, grateful to be here every week with this podcast to help serve you, help make you better, and really help make your life better. I truly mean it when I say I want you to live your best life and achieve ultimate success. That is my heart. I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll see you again soon.